Welcome to Let Me Know How It Is, a pop culture podcast about TV, movies, comics, and all things geek. Today, we're discussing Chosen One characters. Thanks for listening. All right, Chosen One characters. What works about them, what doesn't, commonalities, observations. We're going to get into all of it. All right, I'm Zach Slater.
I'm Frank Melman.
This is Tommy Smithereens.
And I'm Clifton.
All right. Tommy, you want to start us off?
I want to start off with a storyline that constantly had chosen ones, regardless of how many movies they showed. And that's
Okay.
Star Wars. But the specific one I was thinking about was Anakin,
Okay.
in which he was touted as being the chosen one to bring balance to the Force,
Mm-hmm.
which was weirdly true because he just brought more power to the dark side, in which there are like 100 good Jedis and like one, if any, Sith.
Yeah, we never get to see a Council of Sith, right?
No, not at all. But he did bring balance when he killed all the other Jedi.
When he goes on his slaughter tour.
Yep.
Yeah. Killing the younglings.
That's what that means, apparently. Dwindle
Okay.
all of it down to 2 on each side.
Two on
Yes.
each side, yeah.
Yeah, so they can't tell that the balance means half the room, most of the room, when we look around that Jedi Council, most of us are not going to be here after he becomes a Jedi.
Yeah, because, I mean, at the beginning, it's more good, right? So when Qui-Gon thinks he needs to bring balance, I don't think he understood what balance really meant.
Right.
It
Yeah.
wasn't a very good prophecy
No.
in retrospect.
No, actually, I just think they read it wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you guys are ruling the galaxy, which the Jedi were,
Yeah.
the balances make you guys have less power.
Well, I mean, they do say at one point, I mean, they make the point of when they're trying to figure it all out, they're like, well, it is kind of, that typical, I mean, it could just be writing, but they're like, it's kind of murky what the future is going to hold.
Yes.
Which I would think you would want to lock that down if that's the future of the galaxy and your guys' future. But no, I agree with you. It's not a, it's not a well thought out prophecy for sure.
No, not at
about
all.
that chosen one.
But he was somebody's chosen one.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Phantom Menace, it always confused me with the first time I watched it when they were doing all the Anakin's the Chosen One stuff, because, by that point you've seen New Hope, Empire, Return of the Jedi, and I'm like, isn't Luke
Yeah.
sort of the one that saves everything? I'm like, I remember just as an audience member thinking, like, I thought Luke was the chosen one.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
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 They do that in every 3 movies. There's always a new chosen one.
Right.
My question is, who's telling that chosen one prophecy?
Yeah.
Mm.
It's this, they whip out that book or soothsayer, whatever. There's a chosen one, guys. Okay. And it's always a surprise when the chosen one comes.
Well, the other thing about it is the fact that there's not really, Anakin's seduction of the dark side is pretty. I mean, granted, I haven't seen all the supplemental material. I haven't seen all the stuff, all the animated stuff between. But it does seem, if you've only seen the movies, it does seem really quick.
Yeah, it does seem quick.
Like it doesn't take much to tip him over. It's like, no, he's open to the idea of this situation.
No, he's very much open to it. But what creeps me out is that little boy was bad to begin with, because it's not how far back you got to take a kid before he's not tainted, I guess,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
evil.
Well, I mean, but that's the thing. Prequels are always tough, especially when you know what the character is going to become.
Yes.
Yeah, they are.
And then the fact that it's a cool image, and I always thought it was a cool image when it came to the prequels, was the one where it's Anakin walking as the little kid when he's Jake Lloyd, and then the shadow is Vader. That's a great image, but it does cement the idea of like it doesn't matter what good he does, where he ends up.
Yeah, he's the worst.
Yeah, but Anakin's one that again, it's one of those things where to me it was always. You always think of that, there's a million memes about, we're the chosen one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That whole thing.
I'm gonna say it's weird how Yoda was against prophecy, but living in a swamp for like 20, 30 years makes him all for prophecy in the next go round.
But that even leads more credence to the idea of like the whole thing of like Jedi's get glimpses of the future, right? That's part of the deal. So in that point, did he see like, no, this is going to help us, we're going to win the day at this, or?
Yeah, that's my point. At first he was against it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now he's for it. But he's always says the future's murky. But why is he
Right.
for
Like they're seeing potential futures. They're
Yeah.
not seeing the definitive future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he put all chips in that second go round on Luke.
No, not really. No, he's a little combative about taking Luke in too.
Yeah.
Well, there's one.
When,
Yeah,
when,
no,
when
he
he's talking to Obi-Wan's ghost, like he's just looking for excuses not to do it. He's too old.
Yeah, he's just rattling off excuses one after another.
Yeah. Too old to do the training. Like, you know,
He's arguing with because you're right, because Zach's right. There's the moment where he's basically arguing with the air for a moment, and then it's like, oh no, he's talking to Obi-Wan. So
yeah, but he still does it as opposed to Obi-Wan is like, I'll do it. You know,
Right.
Yoda's like, nah. He's too old. He's too young. I mean, he's too old.
right.
But he does it as opposed to not doing it at all, like 40 years ago or whatever.
Right, but we also do we really get that moment of Obi-Wan being like, you're a child of destiny, you're the chosen one, Luke?
But you
Yeah,
would thought
Luke's just a protagonist.
Right.
Yeah. No, I get that's a good point. As opposed to Obi-Wan be like, nope, don't train him. He's definitely too old this go round.
No.
They thought he learned to go, you know.
Yeah, there's none of that. I mean, there's none of that blowing. I mean, they don't blow up Luke in quite the same way.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. No, you're right. I mean, Clifton, you're 100% right. Like he's never stated that he's the chosen one. But for me, I guess watching, because I was a kid when the original ones, is that like it was not even implied, but it was sort of like that. That's the conclusion I jumped to when they're talking about, like, you know, the force is strong with this one, and you know what I mean. That there was like a special quality to him that was extended even beyond the fact that he could be trained
Yeah.
Right.
in this sort of stuff. But that's me getting it wrong, right? Because the movie's not telling me that in explicitly like it is for Anakin, where they say he's the chosen one, you know.
And this is a prophecy that
yeah,
we all
100
know
times.
about.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Now for me, I didn't see the latest ones except for The Force Awakens.
Right.
But was she touted as a chosen one as well?
Nah, she was a product of circumstance like Luke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's only one chosen one of the 9 movies.
Yeah, and she's in the right place at the right time. Maybe the Force had something to do with it, but like it's nobody's saying she's got a future to fulfill.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
I mean, there's always. I mean, you know, not to give stuff away, but there's obviously stuff with, you know, familial stuff, because all of that, those movies are tied up with, you know, that one particular family.
Yeah.
And nobody can seem to escape, you know, the gravity of the situation, no pun intended, because of the fact that they're tied to that family. So, good or bad, you know.
Right. I think, though, that despite what its execution is, I mean, that there's a lot of very, very, very common tropes that are displayed for the chosen one type of character in Star Wars, where, you know, the thing that gets me thinking about it is immediately, if you're going to play with this idea as a character, your world is already bigger because you are coming into a situation where there is some degree of backstory and some degree of context that has to be filled in where right, where's this coming from, right?
Mm-hmm.
It has to be explained, like who's saying that this is the chosen one, and what are they supposed to do, and what is this meaning in a broad sense, whereas just a regular protagonist can be, you know, it can be sort of the character that the audience identifies with right from the get-go. We don't need any more. We're learning the world as we're with them, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Horok versus Destined type of deal is what you're saying?
I guess that's what I mean. Like there is a sense of destiny that has to be explained and talked about right from the jump. Right?
Yeah.
There's like a world building component to a chosen one character that exists, you know, that has to exist right from the get-go, right? Like it almost always gives root for a mentor character, because somebody has to explain the chosen one stuff
Right.
Yeah.
to the character who usually doesn't understand it themselves, right?
Yeah.
And usually like as explaining it to the chosen one is explaining it to the audience as well.
That's just like, what's it called? Well, ultimately, it's that reluctance factor that needs to be added in. Whoever's the chosen one to me in most stories I've read is somebody that doesn't want the mantle, as opposed to somebody who doesn't mind getting beat up for the greater good.
Mhm.
That's what I see with the chosen one.
It's the refusing the call in the
Yes.
old Joseph Campbell
Right.
hero's journey.
That's exactly
Yes.
what I was going to say, Clifton, was the fact that it's the reluctance to accept the call or the rejection at first of being, wanting to be a hero or whatever on the hero's journey is just like, no, I can't do this. It's not for me.
Right.
That's a good, getting back to the trope. It's a very big trope.
Which is what's Anakin's refusal of it? What's Anakin's refusal of the call? Because I remember Luke's is very much,
I'm a farm boy.
you're supposed to come with me if you're going to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi and all that stuff. And he's like to Obi-Wan, like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I got to get home. Like, I'm out late enough as it is,
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Anakin's, I think, is he doesn't want to leave his mother.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's the moment where, he's a 10-year-old boy.
Right.
and doesn't want to leave his mother. And his mother's like, no, like, it'll be a better life for you if you go with these people.
Right. Okay.
That's interesting that you talk a boy out of slavery. That's that's interesting. But
yeah.
But I was gonna say, I'm surprised Frank hasn't brought up his chosen one yet.
Who's my chosen one?
Buffy.
Oh yeah, that's another chosen one in every generation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Extremely reluctant.
Yeah. There's definitely the whole thing of not wanting to not be able to fit in, to want not be a part of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Buffy's a good one. I think Buffy's a great one, to be honest. I think, when you're talking about the trope of, and that's definitely set up with a mentor who's there to help her explain how the world works in Giles.
Yeah.
I mean, Giles is definitely the character that, is the one that, pinches his, takes off his glasses, pinches his nose, and explains the reason why it's important that they're doing what they're doing because that's part of the Watchers Council.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely so. But I mean, it's also what's interesting about that one is the fact that, throughout the series, because of death and or near death experiences where Buffy, you also have another chosen one, quote unquote, called, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have, it's not just her, and then that's something that I always thought was interesting about it. It's like, yeah, in every generation, but there's technicalities. It's not a perfectly clean situation.
Yeah.
Because if a Slayer dies, then the next one just gets activated, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So there are instances where the chosen one can become the two.
Right.
Out of for lack of a better term, a technicality or
right.
A mix up of some kind, right?
And then possibly more.
Right. And possibly more, because you have a moment like early on, and this is spoiling Buffy, but this is not spoiling at all. Buffy dies has a near death experience, dies for a couple minutes, and then is brought back.
Mm-hmm.
And then another Slayer is called, right? So then you have two Slayers. Another Slayer shows up in Sunnydale, and they're like, "What?" And then they have to explain, well, that's the reason why there's another Slayer is because
technically she died. Yeah,
like the universe just activated the next one,
right?
Yes.
Exactly. And then when that one dies, then you have entirely another situation with a whole brand new, another Slayer comes along.
Beyond sort of that idea that there's one called, there's one Slayer called for every in every generation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? Is there much to the Buffy lore that is predicated on destiny?
Well, the Slayer
beyond that, I'm curious because I'm just asking out of lack of knowledge, because as I've said in previous episodes, like my watching of Buffy's was very sparse.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen chunks of it here and there, but I never did like one beginning to end all the way through.
Right.
Like, is she foretold to do certain tasks?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in this one, it would be. I mean, it's more along the lines of it's the Hellmouth is her, right? Where the Hellmouth in Sunnydale is where she's stationed, kind of like there's a Hellmouth that's open there. There's supposed to be a Slayer there. The Watchers Council knows there's supposed to be a Slayer there.
Or that's her Gotham in a way.
Right, exactly. That's her turf. But the other thing is that I always thought was odd was they mentioned that there are other Hellmouths.
Yeah.
But there's only one Slayer at a time.
Yeah, which makes that weird. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like, so who's taking? I mean, do they just have? I mean, granted, we meet other characters and other like demons or other demon human hybrids or people that have extraordinary abilities within the world of Buffy and Angel. But it's not one of those things where the Watchers Council is like, well, we have so and so set up here in this town because there's a Hellmouth there.
Right.
Right, like the Watchers aren't keeping an eye on things and then just like putting out the Buffy signal to be like, come to this one.
Exactly.
Because we got an emergency.
Well, right, that's what I'm saying. There's no like Buffy World Tour where she's going from Hellmouth to Hellmouth.
Right.
Taking care of the local. All right,
Wow.
I know.
No,
Yeah,
I know. No, Frank, you just stumbled upon like an awesome show, though.
Right, exactly. Well, of course, that's what I mean. That's why I thought it'd be, why they didn't have that as an idea, or maybe they did as a possible spinoff, and they just didn't get a chance to do it. I don't know.
But in a way, that's what actually it becomes in a way, doesn't it?
It does. Without, we want to spoil, we can spoil it.
Let somebody stumble onto it, but it's not. It's not an awakening moment. If we did figure that out in the first or second season, that'd been brilliant. But
yeah, because that's my
10
thing.
years after the fact,
I always thought it was just like I said. That was one of the things where I'm like, well, what? So are we just letting those towns go in the war against evil, the war against whatever's going on? Because again, we've talked about in other shows the idea of like the powers that be an angel, right?
Yes.
And for a while, the angel is beholden to like basically help them out, and they basically set them on the path until they start to have the whole vision thing with Doyle and then Cordelia explaining to where he's supposed to basically, like, it's kind of like his version of a trouble alert is those visions. But again, it's not wholly and solely unheard of that sort of thing is going on all over the world, because we do see that at one point, the idea that the Watchers are based out of Britain, so they're international.
Yeah.
But as far as whether or not, again, like I said, it's not so clear cut as to who's dealing with that other stuff.
Yeah. But it's interesting that you brought up Angel, is because now that I think about it, Angel is more similar to what Anakin Skywalker was, in which he's is or isn't the chosen one. It depends on how he takes the reins or if he accepts it. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah, because at one point, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Zach, but Angel is given a prophecy.
Yes.
And because he has a soul, they don't know if he's the one with the soul.
Right.
And then they make that murky by bringing another vampire with the soul.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So he becomes the chosen one and not the chosen one all at the same time.
Right.
Yeah. It's kind of like,
they played ambiguous a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
It's kind of, they like to, one thing about that show is, and it's great that about it is the fact that they love to move the goalposts on Angel.
Oh, definitely.
Quite often.
Right.
Just because but
again, it's by design, though.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes.
No.
It's not like it's not an indication of the quality of the writing. It's very intentional to like, we've introduced this idea, okay, and now we're complicating it now. Now we're messing it up.
Yeah. Right, because like they do it on the show, and then there's like we talked about it before. There's an Angel one shot that I wish that had gotten explored more, which was the idea of, when Angel's cursed with the soul by the gypsies, that it's not, the question becomes, well, you got a soul, but there's no guarantee that it's your soul, like your original soul. You may have got someone's soul and they were better than you. They're a better person, and now you have their soul.
Right.
So you may be, it's not necessarily that you're going to be a better person or better because of what you're doing, which is another like turn of the knife or a twist on things for him that they don't ever pick back up again. But yeah, overall, like Tommy was saying, they do, basically. Well, there's the other prophecy about about fathers and sons, right, Tommy?
Yeah, about how, from his father or just overall?
No, for him, there's another prophecy about the whole thing with. Well, again, I don't want to give too much away, but there's a prophecy about him where they basically set something up where it's supposed to be the way it is, and it's a great moment where that's one thing about that show is it's all in the it's a matter of interpreting the language it was written in as well as what it actually means. There's a lot of that kind of stuff.
I'm trying to remember the father part of it though.
Think about him being a father, or the potential of him, or the potential of him being a father.
Yes. Okay.
So they do a lot of that stuff. But yeah, I can see. I see what you're saying with the whole prophecy of him being a chosen one of being the vampire with the soul, because they definitely, it's one of those things of like what you're working towards. They basically let you think he's working towards something, and then it might be like, oh no, it's not for you. Yeah. You're not the one. You're not the one that gets this. Is the one that's supposed to be working for this in the first place, which is a nice bit. So, but yeah, I wasn't when we were talking about chosen ones. I was just thinking about Buffy was one that came up, and then when you mentioned Angel, one that I thought that was really interesting that I don't even know really pays off because I didn't ever finish the series, which is we haven't really talked about this character much on the show, is Lion-O.
Okay.
Sure.
Like Lion-O is a chosen one for sure, right?
Right.
Yes,
From Thundercats.
yes.
Right,
Indeed.
Lion-O from
Yeah.
Thundercats. And in the original stuff, it's I always thought it was a great character bit, but also almost slightly it's just tragic because and they do a lot with it in the original show, and I don't know how much they've done it since they've done reboots. But the idea that Lion-O grows up in a basically has an adult body, but he's still a child inside.
Mm.
Which is, yeah.
But I don't even remember what the prophecy was for. I mean, it obviously has a sort of omens, which is heavy with prophecy in the name alone.
Oh, definitely.
But I don't know. I don't remember. Does anyone remember what it was? His deal was for being what the prophecy was. Were they supposed to find him a new home for a new Thundera, or?
I mean, he was, I guess, chosen to bring back his people, basically.
Right. Does that get paid
That's
off?
how I saw that. Yeah.
But does that get paid off as a thing?
No, but they don't rely heavily on the prophecy deal as more as the survivor of a lost world.
Right.
Mm.
They don't really play it up to it. But he does fall as the chosen one because before he's even old enough to hold his sword, he's already chosen as king, like King Arthur or something.
Right. Because they look to him a lot of times to make decisions. I'm like, he's like a 12-year-old kid. Really?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm like, you're placing all this stuff on him. And early on, especially, that he demonstrates that he doesn't have the maturity level to be what he's supposed to be. Because Mum-Ra manipulates him pretty easily.
No, 12-year-old kid.
Basically messes with his head and basically messes with his emotions. And he, reacts, in a way that he thinks that an adult would, or as a chosen one.
No, I totally forgot about him. I thought you were going to go with another 80s cartoon.
Oh, okay.
That's what I didn't think you were going to go with an 80s cartoon. I thought when you said series I didn't finish, I thought you were going to say Korra of the Avatar stuff, and I was like, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
That's another, yeah. That whole.
Well, I figured we get to.
Yeah.
I figured for sure we would get the Avatar, but the one that I was thinking about, like just outside of stuff, was Lion-O, and I just never, if I just sort of my interest in the show. I mean, I loved the show as a kid, but at the same time, it was kind of like I didn't finish it as a series, and I've never really I revisited it. Zach, you and I talked about when they did the Cartoon Network reboot.
Yeah, the 2011 one.
Yeah, we watched.
No, that's the one I was thinking about a little, because I watched the original as a kid and everything, but like you, I didn't finish it. It was just kind of sparse.
Right.
Whatever episode was on, when I was home was what I caught. But I watched all the Cartoon Network one all the way through, and that one sort of didn't get a chance to finish, right? And so I don't know what they were building up, but there was very much in the 26 episodes that we got, like the idea that he was unfit, the idea that he was in over his head, was a big deal, and I don't think that they ever got to really effectively challenge that idea and see the growth just yet, because I think I think it was calculated that like that was coming had we got more episodes, and we just didn't,
Right. We see him being put to tests, and then other Thundercats do better consistently.
Right.
Yeah,
he does at certain tests. We just hadn't gotten to the part where he developed himself.
Right.
But yeah, that was one. Like I said, that was one that when I was thinking about the show, I was like, oh yeah, that's one that I don't really think of, but yeah, he definitely is. So
I thought you were going to mention Rodimus Prime from Transformers. Or Hot
that's
Rod.
a good one too. I thought about Rodimus, but I figured, like I said, Lion-O was the one I was like, oh yeah. I don't think we've ever mentioned. We may have mentioned Thundercats, but not.
No, but never Lion-O specifically.
Yeah.
For Transformers, that one got added along the way. Obviously, the whole notion of a destined leader.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it's not until the movie that we realize, like, oh, they've got their own like Excalibur of sorts in the matrix of leadership that chooses who the hero is and will only work for specific people.
Right.
Yes. Sadly, to Ultra Magnus's dismay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He gets
He's
better.
Not happy about it.
He gets better.
He gets better.
Yeah, no, that's one of my most favorite examples is Hot Rod in Transformers the movie, and I like how I don't want to say surprising, because I mean it's clear that he's the main character, right?
Oh, yeah.
But I like the nebulousness of it with Ultra Magnus when he's trying to open the Matrix, and it's a little bit of he's not the one. Right.
He's got a tractor trailer. He has to be the one.
Yeah. He's not the one, but it's also it's not just that he's not the one, it's also that it's not the time.
Yeah.
Right? He's like misjudging the moment.
Yeah.
To do it also, which I think is an interesting aspect of it. You know? Whereas Hot Rod, you know, he knows the moment when it comes, like this is it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You know.
I just find it weird that they could house that thing in their chest on a moment's notice. Like all of them had a capacity to do it. Like when Prime goes away, Ultimate's, I'll hold on to it. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Right. God, that movie's so great.
Oh yeah.
If there's ever a song about the one,
well, sure.
It's You've Got the Touch. I mean,
You Got the Touch,
you know, we weren't going to do it as our cool down, but that's the best song about a chosen one I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's tough to beat that one.
Yeah. So I have a couple of like loose chosen ones, as I call them, right?
Okay.
That it's not explicitly said. Well, maybe in a few instances it is sort of said. It's not as heavy-handed as like Anakin, like you're the chosen one, right? But the one that I'm thinking about is Black Panther, right? Where T'Challa is the chosen one, air quote chosen one, by way of lineage, right? Like he's just.
I thought he was more royal.
He's the son of a king. He's the next in line, right?
Yeah.
And so by that way, he's the chosen one. But what I think is interesting about it is that, especially in the movie, when they have like the combat trials, right, where it's like it can be disputed at any point,
right,
and essentially like your status as the one, as the king, has to be defended, right? Like I think of it as like a wrestling thing because I'm a mark. Right. Whenever somebody wins a championship for the first time, they say like, you got a target on your back. Like now, like you have to defend that. Right.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think about that with Black Panther, like his fitness as a leader can be called into question at any moment.
Right.
I thought it was only for that day though, right? It wasn't like ongoing.
Well, okay. How did you read that? That's interesting because I read that it could be said at any point, that if somebody thought that they had a claim to it or thought that they would do better, they could challenge him.
Well, I thought that he held the mantle due to lineage, but when he claims the ruler of Wakanda, like I guess when they bury their dad, there's a day in which anybody comes, and that's the open challenge. Hence why what's his name from the other tribe fights him too. It's the day to, you know, to be, if you want to be king, here's the day that you prove yourself type of situation. And that's why it was important for Killmonger to come on that particular time to do said thing. And then he didn't have to accept this challenge. Because at one point it's like, remember the mother's like, you don't have to accept it. They're like, no, I'll do it. You know, and just to, you know, just to prove a point or whatever.
Yeah.
But he didn't have to accept it, even if someone challenges him on that regard, as opposed to wrestling rules. At least that's what I believe.
Well, John Cena doesn't have to defend against Randy Orton always, but he will.
Okay.
No. Yeah, but no, I think that that's an interesting wrinkle.
No, it is.
That's mixed into that, where it's you know, yeah, Buffy's status can be complicated, but not in that way. Like somebody's not stepping up to her to take it from her.
Yeah,
necessarily, right? Yeah.
Another number 4. Yeah, 2 more, right?
Yeah, I got a few more, but no.
Okay.
You know, toss it out. What do you got?
I was gonna say the one where Destiny plays against you was one that I clearly have forgotten about. Was Kara Thrace Starbuck? And which her destiny was the one to lead them to their end, the harbinger of death.
Yeah,
Battlestar Galactica.
Right. Yeah. Which that would just suck overall to get that kind of destiny.
Yeah, I don't know if that one works for me. I never fully embraced the whole, you know, space angel or whatever she was supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I get what they were setting up with, you know, all the stuff and, you know, all along the Watchtower and all that, but
yeah,
it doesn't quite work for me. Because again, it's and then I don't know if I've said this before. I think I've said it to you in conversation. I don't think I've said it on the podcast, but for me, it was always a matter of, when you're dealing with a show that was so heavily steeped in the idea of religion,
which it was,
the idea of the Cylons believe in the one true God, and then like the colonists believing in the various gods of their various planets and all that. To have someone literally come back from the dead, be proven to not be a Cylon and not be something else. Why? And again, it's like the end game, so they only have so many episodes to work with it. But the idea that a major religion didn't spring up again around Starbuck never made any sense to me. Like the miraculous is right over there. We also not to mention the fact that also on the tarmac we have a god ship. We have a ship we don't know where it came from or what it does, but it's proof that her ship can come back. Basically she's come back from the dead. Not only is like a Christ-like figure, there's also a god ship right over there. And no one, other than like a momentary blip in an episode or two, I think no one really questions it, which I think is very odd that they don't do anything with it.
Yeah, I mean, knowing where it goes, it's very odd. But in the moment, I remember watching it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Being very intrigued by it, and what is this about, and where is this going? And yeah. When you finish the series to its end,
right?
It's a little, like
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not to mention the fact where she's screaming we're going the wrong way for 4 episodes or however long it is.
Yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
There's that too. I mean, don't be wrong. I love the character of the shows. I think I'm on board for like 95% of that show, and the rest of it doesn't work for me. But yeah, that one I'm just kind of like, I get it, but I didn't work. It didn't land for me.
Oh. No, I didn't say it was the best depiction of it, but they try to push
No, I hear you. I'm just saying, like, as we were talking about in the open, it's just one of the things where that one to me, you make her a character of destiny, and then you don't, you want to just try, you just want to trade on the trope of, yeah, she's a character of destiny. I'm like, but you've shown, in a show about killer robots, you've taken the time to explain that they have a religion, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That to me means if you,
they should have rallied around her. I got you.
Yeah, if you've put that much time and effort into the idea of, thinking about the idea that maybe, robots might have a religion, that's the kind of depth that Ron Moore put into the series. You might want to explain that the killer angel that I saw mow down a bunch of people in one episode where she comes back as to why that is. And we don't get it. We never get it explained.
No, we never get it explained. It simply is. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but so going along with the idea of like looser ones too, I've a couple of captains for you.
Okay,
go for it.
One is is Captain America, right?
Okay,
not the chosen one,
right?
But a carefully selected one, right? Who is selected among however many candidates, right? And the idea, like what I like about Captain America is I think it kind of illustrates a commonality among really, like, not all of them, but most of them is he's selected for something that's not skill based.
Right.
Right. It's something about him, the person, right? It's something, it's a character selection that makes him the one.
Right.
And then the skills come later. Which is, it's a commonality with Anakin. It's a common, right? There's even with the Avatar, like Aang and Katara, right? There is a thing about them.
Right.
Right. Well, I guess in the case of the Avatars, there is a thing that is different about them.
Right.
But that doesn't discount the fact that there is still training and skill to be developed.
Sure.
To be taught, right? Things to be taught. Really, even Sam Wilson is a bit of a chosen one too in that instance, right? Because the mantle is selected to be given to him, right? So far, anyway. We'll see what happens with the show,
right?
With Falcon and Winter Soldier, But the other one that I was thinking is and it's really displayed very nicely in the showcase is the Captain Marvel, aka Shazam showcase that they did with Superman and Black Adam, and that's a really really cool one too. Where like It's Billy Batson is this, and he's this person with this trait and with these traits, and the wizard bestows him that power for those reasons.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, Billy Batson was on, or Captain Marvel, Shazam was on my list as well. The idea that it's there's a reason why Billy gets these powers, and it's also very telling that there's he's the first mortal to get these powers in thousands of years.
Right.
Before that, we tried this back in Egypt, and it didn't go so well.
Right.
That one didn't work out.
Yeah, the guy who got it before you kind of tried to take things over and was awful and was a tyrant.
Yep.
So
we chose poorly.
Yeah, we chose poorly. Right. Exactly.
Yes.
Do better.
Right.
Coming soon to a Cineplex near you, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yes. Yeah. You'll see that guy's story soon enough.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I love that guy. That guy's awesome.
Oh yeah. Black Adam is awesome.
He's a terrific character, but
he's a great character. Yeah.
But conversely, what I love about Billy is the fact that, again, it's illustrated there in the showcase. I agree. I love that showcase. But where I also love it is in Young Justice, and the moment I'm talking about.
Yeah,
it's in the one.
Misplaced is the episode.
Yeah. It's the one where basically, I don't, when Billy's the only kid that goes between the adult world and the kid world. And the reason, and the great line about, I don't need the wisdom of Solomon, I have the wisdom of Billy Batson.
Yeah.
There's a reason, like you said, there's a reason why that kid is the one that gets these gifts of the gods to fight evil and injustice. And it's a great moment. So yeah, I love Billy Batson.
And the premise of that Young Justice episode was that magic forces had disappeared all of the adults or all of the kids, depending on what your perspective was, and basically split them up into two worlds.
Right.
So one world was only full of kids and one world was only full of adults. And Billy Batson, as Shazam from movies you've seen, had the ability to go back and forth between worlds just by changing forms.
Right. It is an awesome episode.
Yeah. It's a great moment.
Yeah.
It's a really good one.
It is. And really both of those, the showcase and that episode of Young Justice, is like, if for whatever reason, if you want to get into Shazam, Captain Marvel, those two are awesome starting points. I think.
Yep. Totally.
The movie's good too. I like the Shazam movie a lot too. I don't think it gets talked about enough.
But yeah, just thinking of the trope for Chosen Ones, like for me, it definitely necessitates a higher power just in my own thinking about it. Prophecy, universe, destiny, some sort of higher power. So Shazam does fall into that, being that the wizard Shazam is the higher power in this case that does choose a champion and bestows powers upon them. That's just the way I was thinking of the trope in general. I have more tolerance for one than the other.
Okay.
Prophecy is one of the quickest ways to make me roll my eyes.
Sure.
Watching or reading anything. The Shazam style Chosen One I have more tolerance for, and neither of them are deal breakers for me. But that Prophecy one's got a whole lot of more weight that it has to make up for to make me like it than others.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, that's what I was saying that with Clifton. What I was saying with Angel is the fact that they love to throw out prophecy and then just be like, "No, dummy, you read it wrong." Or the other one is, no, I purposely changed the prophecy on you to make you think it was something else.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, Clifton, what do you think of Kung Fu Panda?
Okay.
The first one.
I've seen it, but not in a long time.
Yeah, me too.
I don't remember much about it.
Well, the first one dealt with a person who thought he was the chosen one and a character who didn't think he was the chosen one, but end up becoming the chosen one.
Right.
In which they fight. So, but it all predicated on destiny. And
so it's like a subversion of the tropes.
Yes.
But still kind of playing along with them at the same time.
Yeah.
Yes. What do you think of that?
I mean, I remember enjoying the movie.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Okay. Yeah,
I remember liking the movie a lot. Yeah, and I like the complicated aspect of it. Of this is a guy on paper.
Yes.
That is the one, and is everything you would think about when that comes to mind, and then here's this other one that is not at all what you would associate with being the one, and yet for a reason one is and the other one isn't.
Yes. Yeah, I thought that was fun. How they did it, and they kept pushing that chosen one thing for the next two sequels. I'm surprised that they got that much out of it. But the first one was generally the I feel was the best one as far as the depiction of it.
Yeah, I like when it can get complicated like that. When you can mess with it. And I have a controversial one.
Oh.
So, spoiler for Justice League Unlimited. I'm going to spoil the episode epilogue, which is the Batman Beyond thing. Okay. And what I like about this one is I absolutely love Chosen One tropes. I love those kinds of stories, but I also love a circumstantial hero also, right? A hero like right time, right place hero. And what I find so interesting about this episode of Epilogue that does like a flash forward in the Batman Beyond time. So it's 15 years after the Batman Beyond show. So it's farther in the future even, right? And it's this idea that Terry all along is thought to be circumstantial hero, right? Right place, right time, and takes it himself and, does the best he can with it. And then you come to see that there are some revelations with Amanda Waller and Bruce Wayne and some other things where, like there was an attempt to create a Batman, right? And to where the world needed a Batman. And what I find is which that in and of itself I wouldn't be okay with, but what I think is interesting about how they play with it here is that there's that attempt. So there's like a nugget of Terry McGinnis being the one, and then circumstance intervening again, and the plan kind of falling apart, and yet somehow he ends up finding the mantle anyway. And so I like this idea of it's like destiny and not all at the same time. And I like that it doesn't come down on one hand or the other. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but
you know what I mean?
I agree to a point. I don't think Batman was Superman in which he would let some random person get his DNA. Well, not random, but Waller, for lack of a better term. That's my only thing. I felt it to be very specific. As soon as she showed her plan, I like that Terry was random. And to make it seem like that he was random and not random at the same time was weird. But I see what you're getting at. To me, I was conflicted in their depiction of him being the chosen one at the same time not being the chosen one.
Yeah. No. I know. And you're not the only one. Believe me. I know that some fans love that episode. Some fans don't. And I'm with you. Like, I think the idea of him being the chosen one is a strange one. And I think that in and of itself, like I said, I wouldn't be really on board with that, but I think that there's an elegance in the way that they play with it. Yeah. In the way that they complicate that themselves. Right. In this, for lack of a better term, this grandiose, like complex plan in order to set this thing in motion to make this, to create a Batman post Bruce Wayne doesn't really work out. And yet somehow it works out.
Yeah.
I mean, I was perfectly okay with him being Michael Gross, Stephen Keaton's kid from Batman Beyond, because he voices he's the dad, right? He voices the dad in Batman Beyond
in the pilot.
Okay,
yeah.
He's futuristic Alex P. Keaton.
Yes, exactly. I was perfectly fine with him being a futuristic Alex P. Keaton. I had no problem with it. But I do love Epilogue. I like the idea. I like the the reveal by Amanda Waller. The fact that they got CH Powder to say what's the line? Not even entirely what I meant. When she's talking about all the DNA all over town.
Right. Yeah. How when she's talking about how they got Bruce's DNA, where she's like, it wasn't easy. Like it's
not even remotely what I meant. That's what she says.
Yeah, not even what I meant. When she's saying his DNA was left all over town. Not even remotely what I meant. Yeah.
Not even remotely what I meant.
She's referring to the fact that he's been wounded a lot all over the place.
Right. Not that he's whipping it all over Gotham or wherever.
I don't know. But no, ex Talia, you know, he
I know.
was ripping it all over.
I remember. Again, I remember that the episode with Talia coming back, and they showed basically the wall. It's like the many loves of Bruce Wayne. On the computer screen.
Well, it doesn't help that he's getting down with Catwoman on rooftops either. So so that's what makes me think of that.
But yeah, I mean, I'm okay with them playing it like having it be yes and no. I'm fine with it. It's it works. It's a nice bit of again a legacy of stuff. It works for me. There's a ton of bat orphans and bat children, and it's okay. I'm fine with it.
No, and I don't quite understand what the ratio is. I mean, there's sometimes where ambiguity I hate. I'm like, pick a side. Yeah. Come on, you know what I mean? And then there's some where like I love it. There's some where I love that it can be either or, and it's both. Right. But neither at the same right. And this is one of those instances where like time. And it's probably McDuffie. Yeah. I think who does it so well. You know what I mean? It's, 100% so. I'm sure it has something to do with the fact that he did the script for that show and kind of was able to sort of toe the line nicely. But yeah, I mean that's one of my favorite instances. But
I also think it's the one thing about it is that goes on for so long that you never like you've kind of ruled out by that point. There's no way that he could ever, that sort of thing would happen. And then they're like, yeah, he is. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, and at the same time, and even still, but it also doesn't. To me, it doesn't ruin what happened before either.
No, I don't think so.
That's the key to me is that in this revelation that we're being kind of coy and vague about, because you should watch it. Is like it's still somehow. To me, it plays safe. To me, it's like it's completely all within bounds, and it doesn't ruin anything beforehand.
Yeah. No,
like, there's not a scene in Batman Beyond that now I'm watching going, oh, wait, but now this is like that stuff is all intact to me.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, should we talk about Avatar?
We should talk about Avatar because we don't have a lot of time.
I know. We sort of glossed over it earlier because everyone thought I would be naming that one, but no, let's talk about Avatar.
Okay.
Really, Avatar? Ugh.
No, not the Fern Gully with blue people.
Not Jake Sully.
Yeah, but it still plays into it. Yeah, the Fern Gully one still plays into it. That's the crazier part of it.
Unobtainium. That's all you need to know. Anyway, let's talk about Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's the one I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the one I meant.
I'd rather talk about that one.
Yeah, of course. Why would I spend 2 minutes on a minute or more on the other one?
No. Yeah.
I like Avatar.
Avatar: The Last Airbender or the Avatar the James
Airbender.
Cameron movie?
Airbender.
Yeah, please make that distinction.
Enough about Jim Cameron. Airbender. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, when you get to like the Chosen One trope, it's a pretty great one.
It is.
But it's also one of the ones that I think is, it's definitely world building stuff, obviously, because it's one of the things where that one. What I love about that one with the idea of a Chosen One trope is there's it's very rare that you have a mentor character that is the same age as your chosen one.
Okay, yeah.
Who's the mentor? Wait,
usually your mentor is a character that's seen the world or been out in the world or is a much older character that's imparting wisdom. Like they talk about the idea. Again, we're getting back to Joseph Campbell stuff. They're usually the character that introduces you as a reader or a viewer into the larger world as a whole. And I like the fact that Avatar does it in such a nice piecemeal way that you get touches on the rest of the world. But the reason why they see the rest of the world is because they go there.
Yeah.
No, I get that. But that one, I will say yes and no because he has multiple masters.
Right. That was my, but that was going to get to that too, was the idea that he has a ton of different mentors too. But they're all within, they're not that much older than he is.
Yeah, I disagree with you.
Okay.
He gets a master and Master Gung or whatever, who tells him he's the Avatar initially, which causes him to flee because he's constantly referencing his teachings from him and who he is as a person.
Okay.
You also have the previous Avatar who instructs Aang what not to do because here's what I messed up. And And then it comes to a lower level with fighting, because he does it to, I mean, they're not as old as them. Like, at one point, what's his name? Zuko becomes a mentor to him, in which he brings the reality of his situation closer to him based upon who he is and what he's dealt with. You know, I like the fact of it builds a big, with the whole world building, because in all the other mappings of it, we get that one person who hammers it in.
Right.
But in Avatar, in its brilliance, it shows it can come from anyone in order to bring your message, or at least what you can learn from different people in different ways, even from your enemy.
Right. I mean, but again, I agree with you. He gets guidance from being like with the other avatars. But I'm saying when it comes to like the bending, those are all people within his peer group,
except Air.
Okay, except Air, but that's not. I mean, we don't see we don't see the life lessons so much that he learned from them, as opposed to like what he learns from Katara and Toph and from, we're spoiling the show, but you should watch Avatar right now. Stop listening to us and go watch it. But we
get it constantly, because he's always like, remember whenever Aang does an introspect on who he is, he always says the monks, or specifically that monk.
Right.
So it's already mentored into him, is what I'm trying to establish.
Sure, that for Air, but the rest of it is not hammered into him from the what he learned in the Air Temple.
No,
and even when he tries to seek out Boomy, who's supposed to be one of his oldest and dearest friends and help him learn stuff, Boomy's like, Boomy's Boomy.
Yeah,
and he has to find another master.
Yeah, but Boomy's incapacitated.
Okay, but he's but he still sought out someone who he thought would be able to help him, and he ends up being with someone who's in his peer group.
Yeah.
It's interesting that Aang, even as a young character, has a mentor that's younger than him.
Yes.
One of them.
Yes,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's very rare in the whole chosen one trope, is the idea that no, you're not. You're going to have to seek out. You're going to learn from somebody that isn't, wise, and it's not Yoda. It's not someone who's been, through the fire. It's it's that girl over there. Who's showing the boulder what's what.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious, Clifton. So how does the prophecy angle of Airbender kind of fit into your thoughts about prophecy and like chosen one characters and the tropes and stuff like that?
I mean, I think Avatar, like in Airbender, they're more like Buffy. They're more like Shazam.
Yeah.
They're not being foretold to do one specific quest, one specific task. They're not like bringing balance to the Force per se. Their mission is to kind of keep balance amongst all the benders, but it's an ongoing thing.
Job. Yeah.
Right.
It's just their job description.
Right. But
so that's like the universe is choosing them each time at birth.
But they do say in the credits that like that the Avatar is foretold to like to bring together the four nations.
Right, but I think that's what all the avatars were doing before, until the Fire Nation went crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So they were like, everything was all good until like one of these nations acted up. So it's this one's job to make it like it was before, to fix things and put order back in place.
What I like about Airbender, and then later into Korra, is the idea that it's the Avatar is like a life spirit, and that when one dies, there will be another Avatar that will be born, and I like that the idea is that there's like who's it going to be,
right? And it follows a specific cycle in the universe.
Yeah. That we know it's a specific cycle, but it can be, but it's not necessarily a household or a name or a lineage in that way, like a familial lineage that's gonna be connected to it in that way, right? Like it can be anybody,
right?
And that's what I think is cool.
But of a particular disciple, right?
What do you mean?
Like the reason why the Fire Nation wiped out the air nomads, because they knew without a doubt the next Avatar would be Air.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it always follows the same cycle.
Yeah.
Because Earth was before air, right? Kyoshi?
Actually, before fire's Earth, yeah. And then that's why water was after
air.
Air.
Yeah. But you get what I'm saying. It's not like the Skywalkers. It's not like right.
It could be anyone from any of those.
It could
nations.
be anybody from that. Yeah.
From that nation. Yeah, definitely. You like it because it's not specific royalty. Well,
I just like I feel like there's a story that I want to see of them finding like who the Avatar is. Right. Okay. I mean, we have gotten comic books and stuff like that, but as far as like the shows themselves, we've only gotten 2 series, and in both series, the Avatar was known in the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Like we knew it was Aang, and Korra knew that she was the Avatar already at that point. And there's a story I think that I would like to see of like, well, blank name Avatar has passed. Right. Now there's a new one being, that is being born.
Okay.
Where's that baby? We need to find who this baby is, who the new Avatar is.
Mm-hmm. You want? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. You there's ambiguous disconnect to find out who becomes the Avatar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that there's a fun story to be told there. I think where there is a moment I feel like where the Avatar reveals itself.
Is it
to people, to the public, to whoever?
It reminds me of another one. Are you a Lord of the Rings fan?
Yeah, the movies. I haven't.
I mean, well, the character of Aragorn he didn't know he was the king of all, whatever. He just was doing whatever he's supposed to be doing,
Mm-hmm.
He was a hero within himself, but he didn't know he'd be the hero or the king, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I think it doesn't deal as heavy as prophecy, but it's more along the lines of, I think that's, I don't know, I'm conflicted. I think that's a little bit of royalty too, as opposed to the one that's saving everybody,
Mm-hmm.
No, that's not the same. I have to take that back. It's more of the unknown king as opposed to the one who's going to save us all type of atmosphere from before what we were discussing with prophecy and the mantle of saving mankind from the worst of the worst, so to speak.
I mean, I liked him. I liked Aragorn.
I liked him too. I liked him too.
Yeah.
But it's less prophecy. It's less Harry Potter, more where's that baby that was supposed to be born of such and such people at such and such.
Yeah.
That's what I feel.
Yeah. And what I like, going back to Avatar and stuff, what I like about it is that Aang and Korra's journeys are very different, in the sense where Aang is a little like kind of has the wisdom already, right, and is a little bit more skill based, where he's got to master these the bending of the other nations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, which is which we didn't say. I mean, is a trope of the Avatar. The Avatar in that world is the only person alive that can bend air, earth, water, and fire. Right. And if you are a bender in that world, you are only able to do one of those things. And the Avatar is the only one that can do all 4. And then what I like with Korra is when we meet Korra, she's a little bit older than when we meet Aang, but the idea that she's already mastered 3 of the 4. Right. And then she goes to learn air, which is the last one in her development that she needs to learn. But I like that her journey is much more character and wisdom and finding who she is. You know what I mean? It's just an interesting, it's a fun, because the shows are so alike and yet they're so different. And I'm just impressed that how they're able to sort of repackage the same idea to us so differently. And
Yeah. No, actually, let me ask you a quick question then. Who do you think had it worse?
Whose journey was worse?
Yeah. Who do you think had it worse? There's no right answer. Let me put that out.
No, I mean,
it just matters what your opinion.
On one hand, Aang's asleep for 100 years. in the ice.
Yeah.
So that's gotta suck.
Yeah.
But I do feel like Korra's scars are bared a little bit more.
Yeah, but I
You know
wouldn't
what I
want to
mean?
fight a. I wouldn't want to fight a 40-year-old man or 30-year-old man as a preteen. You know.
No, I get it, but I mean, there's one of the things I like about Aang is a little bit of a sense that his character, while tested at moments, he's kind of unshakable in that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but it's to me it's more of a thought of which do you prefer better, the reluctant hero or the overconfident hero? You know, because that's why I see the difference between the two. It's not that both didn't prevail in what they were supposed to do. It's just a matter of that reluctancy helped Aang way better than Korra's experience, in which Aang sought out. You know.
One thing I'll say about Avatar is that with Aang is the fact that and we've talked about it before, is the idea that those are kids, right?
Yeah.
Those are kids.
yes.
Those are children trying to do this, right? I mean, that's one thing I love about that show is a lot of times in kid shows or kid protagonist shows, kids don't act like kids. And these characters absolutely act like, they act like kids. And like you said, the thing about, I wouldn't want to be a kid going up against a 40 plus year old man to try and, cement my destiny.
Yes.
There's that. There's a lot. That also mentions the fact, like, when Aang finds out the fate of the air temple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Your whole people are wiped out.
Yeah. Because of you. Because they're trying to get, because they're trying to get at you. Because they were trying to find you. That whole thing is for a kid to have to carry. Not to mention the fact that he's trying to live up to this destiny, and there's a lot of there's a lot of moments like that in Avatar that are just great. I
like both series, but I think Korra dealt with a lot of heavy-handedness that they shied away from with Aang, because they could have thrown that to Aang and it'd be slowly plausible, but the fact that they didn't ground themselves in it like they did Korra. Benefited Aang more, because the psychological trauma that Aang should have received as a result of dealing with that. What they put Korra through. Yeesh.
That's what's interesting about it to me, is that I think that's where Aang kind of excelled, right? Like that's where Aang was okay. Right, but that was a skill of his. That was a strength of his. Whereas Korra was a little bit more like, I got this, and then it's like, no. Like your overconfidence is getting you in the trouble. And I think both are interesting. I mean, to answer your question, I think both. I think Aang's reluctance to be the chosen one leads us down an interesting path, and I think Korra's like uber embracing of the fact that she's the chosen one and overconfidence of that leads us down an interesting path.
But I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Aang was raised by the monks in the air temple, and he's an airbender, as opposed to, what is her primary bending?
She's water. She's the water tribe.
Okay. Yeah, it's just one of the things where I think it's just, I think that's got a lot to do with the fact that he was, he had, we don't really get, other than, what we see in the finale of season 1, do we get to see a lot of what the religious aspects of the water tribe was?
Yeah, we do and we don't. It's more along the lines of, like, she comes from the southern water temple as opposed to the northern one, which it was more royalty as opposed to the nomadic tribe. Like, the strongest religion aspect of all of them is going to be the air temple, because you don't really get that with the fire temple as well. It's more of a aggressive attitude to a lot of things.
Right.
Yeah, I think that plays into Korra though too. Whereas, like, Frank, I think you're 100% correct, but I think Aang had them early, whereas by the time Korra gets to that point, first of all, they're all wiped out. There's not many airbenders left in the world when Korra is starting to learn that stuff, and then it also happens to be the last style of bending that she has yet to master when we go in, is she needs to master air.
Right.
And to study with so she's meeting them later than when Aang did.
I mean, it's very telling to me that from a story standpoint, the first line she has is "I'm the Avatar, deal with it."
Yeah.
Even though she's a little kid.
Yeah, sets the tone.
But that sets a tone for her character throughout, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Yeah,
but it definitely does.
But to get back to what Tommy's saying, I also feel that you also have the thing of, in some ways, Aang is the idealized, as much as a kid could possibly be, the Avatar idealized as Aang. Whereas I think if you're looking at more of a realistic human approach to what an Avatar would be, I think Korra fits the bill.
Yeah, it's Korra.
So I agree with Tommy. I agree with Tommy in that standpoint. The idea that no. Korra is much more like what a person would be like
if they were the Avatar.
Right. If they were the Avatar, I think it would be really hard to not have that feeling of entitlement to say, I'm the Avatar,
as opposed to Aang's humility.
Aang's got a ton of humility, but I think it comes from background. I think from where he comes from as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do too. No, I don't disagree with you guys. Yeah, I'm just, and so all I'm saying is both are interesting to me.
Yeah,
and both go down cool paths.
Right.
And to go along with the news that was released yesterday from the day we're recording that now we know we are getting more Avatar from the creators from the studio that got started up at Nickelodeon, Avatar Studios. So we know that we're getting more movies. We don't know what they are yet, but there's more coming from that world. So thumbs up. Right. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Tremendously up.
And again, we didn't get to see Aang. So we see Aang as an adult in the flashbacks in Korra, but we don't really get to see how much of that trauma that he endured as a kid, as an adult comes back. Yeah, it comes back to haunt him. We may get some of that fleshed out. We just don't know yet.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I mean, my gosh, and you think there are Star Wars stories that haven't been written yet. I mean, like Avatar is so wide open for stuff. I mean, like just thinking about, like, we just got this announcement yesterday, and like I said, like there's no project specifically announced yet, other than they're coming. But just thinking of it, I'm like, man, there's more stuff you can do with Aang and his team Avatar. There's more stuff you can do with Korra and her team Avatar.
Right.
There's stuff we can do with avatars we've seen tangentially in the show, in flashbacks of their previous lives, right? With Kyoshi and Roku and stuff like that. There's ones that we can go into the future and haven't seen. We can go further back. I mean, there's so much we can do
right
with it, So I can't wait, man. I'm stoked. I'm stoked for that stuff. All right. So, we got to start wrapping it up. So, to cool down, every chosen one has a mentor. I'm actually surprised how little mentors came up in our conversation today. But going along with that, which mentor chosen one relationship do we like the best? And we'll go around and we'll do that. But first, if you like the show, you can check out all of our past episodes on YouTube and letmeknowhowitis.com. Just please, however you find us, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. Finally, if there's anything you would like us to discuss, you can leave a topic suggestion on Twitter or in the comments. Our Twitter handle is our show's initials, LMKHII. All right. Mentor, chosen one relationship we like best. And I'll just toss it out. Whoever wants to go first.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Oh, before I do, you said that one song that you liked, one of the best chosen one songs.
Yeah.
I have another one on that list real quick.
Okay.
Princess of the Universe by Queen.
Ah, also very good.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Dare. Also from the Transformers the movie soundtrack, which is a great one too.
Yeah. But I just thought about the Highlander song. That's every time I think of Highlander, that's all I hear.
Oh, that's an awesome one. We'll post those 3 songs on letmeknowhowitis.com too, also, if you guys want to check them out, because they're awesome.
But going to the mentorship, Morpheus and Neo. Morpheus.
Ah. Okay. Really quick, why?
Oh, one, he's black. That's the biggest thing. But but other than that, I love his rapport of his point of fact. Like, he brings up the prophecy once, but it's more of along the lines of what you're dealing with and the weight of what I need you to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when he trains him, he doesn't mess around. he puts him on the one test that's going to prove his mettle or not. Not to say that it makes him become the one, but he's like, you got to do this one thing. I mean, the way he his rapport with him, he doesn't sugarcoat it. Great lines from the movie. Yeah, I just like how he's just ham-fisted with it. You know?
I like Morpheus better than Neo.
Yeah. I wish he had the power, but yet, however, I just don't like that bathroom scene where he breaks his head on the toilet bowl.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It just sunk my heart. It's Morpheus, man. You know. Other than that, I just love the rapport. Like, you know, is that air you think you're breathing? You know, that type of deal.
Breaks his head on the toilet. Breaks his toilet on. Yeah, I knew a guy that happened to. It was high school. We were at a party. Anyway.
Jeez.
Okay, Frank Clifton, who do you got?
If I'm talking about mentors and mentee, I'm all for Yoda and Luke.
Yeah.
I love that relationship. I love the idea that, you know, it's for me, it's one of those, you know, in Empire, because, you know, Empire, I'm an Empire mark to begin with. I love Empire, but just the idea of, you know, hey, listen, you know, and it's not even so much like drill instructor or like even like that kind of level. It's just sort of like, come on, man, don't you get it? With Yoda, right. A lot of times, the idea that you know, just do it or not. You know, there's no try. It's you know, that is why you fail. You know, all that stuff. You know, and then just the scene with moving the X-wing. You know, all that stuff. But even to the point in the sequels where it's, you know, Luke is still, you know, is at this point in his life that even Yoda from beyond the grave is still like, dude, I'm still teaching you. I'm still taking you to school.
Yeah.
You know, those moments are great because of the fact that it's just kind of like, even after this time, you still don't get it. But, you know, I think that's probably one of my favorite mentor-mentee relationships. But I think that as a mentor, I love Yoda. I think Yoda's great.
Right.
The funny flip about that one is that Luke's acting like Yoda at the point where Yoda's in the sequels, in the new trilogy, is like, stop jerking around.
Yeah. Yep.
And it does start as a reluctant mentor with an eager hero, which is always a fun angle.
Yeah.
I mean, for mine, I'm actually going to go back to what Frank brought up with the Avatar kids. And it's the angle of the main, you know, group we see in the travel companion. It's not, you know, a young guy driving around with an old guy in a Winnebago like the Shazam 70s show.
Right.
It's all a group of friends. And it's also that they all mentor each other, really.
Yeah.
That they're all teaching each other on this whole thing. So they're all equally everybody's mentors in that group.
Yeah.
Which I think is a really fun angle that the show took.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I agree. There's so many just in Avatar, right? I could say Zuko Iroh.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, he wasn't a chosen one, but that's an awesome relationship there. I was going to say Jake Taylor and Wild Thing Ricky Vaughn from Major League is mine, but no, I'm kidding.
Wow. Wow.
Or Ted Lasso and Jamie from Ted Lasso. It's a good one too, right?
Oh yeah, but
are they chosen ones?
Coach?
Yeah.
No, the younger coach, the guy that's the ball boy or whatever, lack of a better term.
Nathan?
Yes, Nathan and Ted Lasso.
He's a good one too.
Yes.
But no, my chosen one, no, I'm Frank, I'm with you too. Like it's Yoda and Luke for me, for all the awesome Dagobah stuff in Empire, which is great and does, you know, that was like, you know, I think as I assume many people's like first encounter of all the Joseph Campbell, like, you know, hero's journey, hero of 1,000 faces,
right,
type stuff. And, you know, I get warm and fuzzy thinking about that, and I get warm and fuzzy thinking about that movie all the time for those reasons. So yeah, so I'm saying Luke and Yoda.
Nice.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, we want to hear your thoughts on Chosen One characters. Tell us in the comments, or you can tweet us, of course. As always, we'll post links and examples to everything we talk about on letmeknowhowitis.com. Please remember to like us and follow us on social media. And Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.